All right, in three, two, one. Hey everyone, this is Preston Zeller. I'm here with Mark Trimarchi today. He works in advertising, and we're going to talk about how Mark went from really this kind of uninspiring home interior to being able to wake up every day and be inspired by having my art in his house. So before I get ahead of myself, let's just dive into who you are, Mark. So could you just kind of briefly introduce yourself and your background?
Yeah. Basically, I guess I'm an average person. There's nothing I don't really feel that's too unique about me. I have some quirks and like eccentric mannerisms, but at the end of the day, we're all human, and I have my likes and interests, and they're all harmless. So I'm happy. That's about it. I like sports and just like everybody else. And I like going out and enjoying time with my friends and just having a nice environment surrounding me, not only providing it, but also having it provided for me, like curating that special circle, you know?
Cool, perfect. Well, I mean, what's your relationship with art? Like, how long have you been interested in it?
A long time. Honestly, it's been quite a bit of a difficult journey because, again, it's new home ownership for me. And like as you mentioned in the introduction, it was like I'm just in this uninspired place that's just walls and paint. There's
Mm.
nothing here that really I walk around with aside from a couple other pieces that like really make me happy. So as I was filling the place out, I met Preston, and the story goes, as you can see behind me, this is something that's with me every day, something I look at every day. And I just wanted to create, again, that environment of like good vibes, I guess you will, if we keep it, current. So, yeah, something that was my journey. I really had no path. The introduction was I dated a girl that went to the School of Art Institute of Chicago, which I think everybody knows one of the most not only expensive art schools in the country, but probably famous. So I got to see like and meet a lot of artists and how they do things and stuff like that. And then I was hooked from that point on. The problem with that was like the level of stuff I liked happened to be really, really, really unobtainable because this stuff was like so crazy. And I got to see the process, and I was just engulfed in it in the later years of my life before it was too late to go back and be one myself. So now I can just dream and have things in my house that make me happy that remind me of that good time.
That's awesome. I mean, what do you think makes your tastes and preferences in art unique?
Um, so I traveled the country several times via car,
Mm.
and I gotten to see a lot of things. And I've only been abroad once or twice, but it was very short lived. So there's not really much inspiration there outside of like some architectural stuff. But like just seeing so much of the landscape of the country, like I'm really, really drawn towards like the earthy tones and, you know, just organic esque colored paintings, nothing too like off the wall or crazy or like moving art, just something I could stare at for like hours. That's like my inspiration and like my buying pattern. I've noticed is like renditions or, you know, correlations between the earth, and the outside world, which is influenced by my environment. I'm surrounded by wild bamboo and weird Texas plants and trees. So,
That's awesome. Well, I mean, let's kind of go back to the beginning of it. So, like, what were you doing before we got connected?
oh man, working and living basically. That's
Yeah.
it. So like I took a little bit of a sidetrack in life. I had a pretty, I wouldn't say a pretty cushy job, but I was further along in my career, so I had a little bit of extra time to do some traveling, and I got into some athletic stuff through cycling. And I traveled the country again in my
Mm.
30s. So like getting to see all these cities again for a second time years apart, that kind of allowed me to see and like really refine what my interests were and maybe a potential next place to live or like how I would like to live in the space I'm in now. So like all of that, those experiences through the paths, I guess, the crossroads I've taken have like always led back to things that I appreciate looking at that are static, if that
Mm.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, explain what you mean more by that.
The non changing landscape of something. Like
Mm.
I see I'm just surrounded. I think all of us as human beings too, unless we're just totally like off the grid, are just surrounded by constant change.
Mm,
So having the consistency in something that I enjoy looking at that will never change, that's like a little piece that I can keep forever. So
mm.
no multimedia art, just prints, paintings, flat canvas, whatever. Could be a sculpture. I haven't found one I liked yet, but who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
you'll one I'll have to get. But yeah, I mean, it's just the consistency of what I'm looking at and the consistent feeling of like I can live with this. I feel good about this, even though it's not changing. Um,
Mm.
it's just calm.
Yeah, yeah. I so it sounds like I guess some of your frustrations at that time was just like probably living in a world that did change
Yeah,
like too erratically.
yeah. I mean, I've always had change in my life. Always.
Mm.
There was never like where I didn't slow down to 1 mile an hour. It's always been, 50 and above every day.
Yeah, yeah.
And like that cup, like I think before we got started here, that cup of coffee I have where literally sit in my stairwell where it's not comfortable at all.
Mm.
I'm surrounded by a cup. Literally, I don't. I did this without knowing. I have a painting on my right, sorry, my right, my left, and above my head. So like
Hmm.
where I turn, there's these things that are just like those are part of Mark. That is Mark.
Hmm.
That hasn't changed. Those things will not change. So
Yeah. Yeah. What and you hand pick them too, right? So
yeah, everything.
or you're involved in the creation to some degree, the influence of it.
Oh yeah, like you know, not to talk about other pieces, but I have a bicycle that I refurbished myself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I have like one is a mirror so I can look at myself, obviously. With a nice border around it. And then, a couple little plants and stuff and like sculptures that I've kind of put in a certain way that just haven't moved in months and I'm okay with it. So
Right, right, right.
all very
And
hand selected and meticulously placed down to the angle of which they sit.
yeah, and tell me about like the role cycling has played in your life because I know you were like pro or semi-pro at some point, right?
Yeah, I raced the top, I guess you would say, like cyclists in the country in these downtown criteriums. So like, and I didn't mention this before, like when I would go away for those weekend events that were like 3 days long, during the downtime, I was in a museum in that city. Could have been
Mm.
Oklahoma, could have been San Rafael in California, Houston, Dallas, here in Austin. Like all the downtime, I really spent time in museums or boutiques that sold like local artist stuff or anything, just to see what the differences are. Santa Fe was another amazing experience. A small gallery in Telluride, believe it or
Hmm.
not. Um,
Hmm.
but like, those little things I'll seek out, and I've noticed that about myself is like, what can I experience that's not going to be too crowded, that's going to allow me to calm down because I'm about to go down the gun of a barrel with 200 other people
Right.
in the 20-foot wide road that's surrounded by these what I used to call the barrier death cages.
Yeah,
Uh,
I bet.
at
Yeah, I've
30
seen
miles an
those.
hour, yeah, at 30 miles an hour with a lack of oxygen to my brain to make any decisions, and basically just following a little black piece of rubber in front of me and some guy's butt. So I needed something to really clear my mind and put me at ease, and like without realizing, it's just I'm sitting in these museums by myself in the middle of a giant room, hopefully, at like a moment, some
Hmm.
staring at something for a couple hours, and that was it for me. And
It kind of sounds like too that you sort of exhaust yourself physically, of course, through these like really intense cycling races, and then the like balance of that is almost this intense mental exercise as well, where you're looking at a lot of like visceral work that keep your brain engaged while your body's kind of recovering.
yeah, exactly. Like I didn't want to go to sleep and take a nap to be like lethargic or anything like that when I wake up, and then go right into like, a 1 hour, you know, just to give you an example, it's 180 beats per minute at 30 miles an hour. Going around the course while there's 10 minutes before the race even ends, when you're just totally like, I literally have tunnel vision, but there are fireworks. and
Yeah.
camera flashes going off in our faces as we're rounding corners. So
Hmm.
you can see it's like it's almost one side of the spectrum to the other. It's quiet,
Mm.
it's serene, it's calm. However, I'm still engaged and my mind is still working just at a much different rate, digestion rate. And then it's, we cut the ripcord and it's bungee jumping. You
You're
know,
like the real life version of Keanu Reeves in Speed.
I am Keanu Reeves. He's like, yeah, he's got a motorcycle company himself. He's an
Yeah,
artist.
that is true. Yeah. Um, well, let's shift gears a bit. Like, where did you first hear about me?
Oh man, I walked into your life through work,
Hmm.
in marketing, and luckily I spent enough time with you to convince you that I was a good hire. So you brought me in, and then we kind of just went from there. Invites to the homes and hanging out and disc golf and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. And it's been a really beautiful start and continuation of like a friendship where we have these in-depth conversations and you're interested in art. I feel like we're very, very similar in that perspective of we're interested in almost the same things.
Yeah.
But we can meet mentally so easily. I don't think if I weren't to talk to you for 8 to 12 months or something that it would miss a beat. It would be right back into one of these conversations where it's just cool, you know,
Yeah.
comfortable, calm. It's nice. It's soothing.
No, for sure. I appreciate you saying that. And what piqued your interest in the art particularly?
The variety,
Mm.
variety that you have, and then explaining to me the back end of like, oh, I chose these colors on this day when I was feeling this. That's what
Mm.
like engages me most. I'm like, I have to own one of these pieces. I'm literally getting like an emotionally driven piece of art
Mm.
that means something completely different to you than it does to me when I look at it.
Yeah.
You be able to reference out of the 365 that you did this particular one,
Mm.
off the top of your head, but I can tell you what it means to me every day.
Yeah.
Um, Without fail, easy. Like I said, static, and it means the same, and it doesn't change. I'll let you know if it does change, though. But I don't think
Yeah.
it'll change. It's been over a year now, so yeah.
Well, I mean that is, I think the nice thing about abstract art is it can change, right? Depending on where you're at in life is sometimes you can look at abstract art and you just see something or feel something different. Uh,
There's that look on it too. Like now I look at this and sometimes I'll get the thing like, I used to work with the guy that created that. And
yeah.
even, you know, switching that mindset and saying, this is my friend, you know,
Hmm.
it's just a way better to represent my relationship of how like work. Sorry, that's a totally different relationship. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
The friendship is much more important to me. So yeah, I've stopped myself several times and be like, actually, he's actually a really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And like,
Uh,
so not even starting with, oh, this is my old boss's stuff, and this is my friend Preston.
yeah.
And it's not. So that's been like really the only change that sticks out most to me when I look at this is when I'm
Mm.
like presenting it to people and saying like, they like ask, who's this? Who did this?
Hmm.
So it's my friend Preston, not my, oh, this is my boss did this.
Yeah, no, for sure. It changes the dynamic. I mean, what results do you think you've seen in your own life just through, working with you on that painting and yeah, getting to own a piece?
The results, that's something I actually thought about before we started this call was like, what did I learn from this process is like
Mm.
everyone has a process,
Yeah.
right? And all of us are at different stages in that process. And you have control over your environment that could influence that process to give you a different feeling. And that's exactly unbeknownst to me, like what I packaged here in my home. Uh,
Mm.
Not a ton of weird stuff hanging around, but all of those things, they're meaningful. They may not be expensive or important to other people and stuff, but they're important to me. So they're
Yeah.
constant reminders of like really awesome things and times in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of just touching on this now, but like areas of, your life that have improved from having my art in your life? I mean, how would you? I think you kind of just described that, but could you touch on that a little more? Like, what does it mean to have this art in your life?
Um, just like, again, influence a feeling of good, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
your goal is. Like mine was calm earth tones outside and waves.
Mm-hmm.
This encompasses all of that. So the way this makes me feel, as opposed to staring at a gray blank wall, you can imagine what that would do for your morning and starting your day off. Like I think I mentioned earlier, like I used to live above a coffee shop, and
Mm-hmm.
first interaction of the day was with really charming and happy people as baristas at a coffee shop. And I lost that moving into more of like a suburban neighborhood. I don't walk to the coffee shop anymore. I have to make it. So now
Mm-hmm.
I had to, kind of design that same sign, that feeling, so that, I felt in control, not only one in kind of control of how my day starts, but also get that same feeling of positivity starting the day. Like,
That's really cool. Where did you live above the coffee shop?
Um, so I lived on 51 Rainy Street, which I don't know if
Oh.
anybody knows in Austin, Texas. Rainy Street is the party street capital of Austin. So like it's just probably 2 dozen bars, or like drinking holes, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
that are just constantly going. Even through the pandemic, it was like an issue. But yeah, I moved to like a really serene neighborhood on the outskirts of East Austin, which, connected to all the trails and waterways and pedestrian bridges and stuff. And it's still like a very kind of homey, lots of lineage here as far as like generational families. Uh, so it's home. It's not an apartment. It's an actual, home. The whole thing, the neighborhood, everything. It's homey. So yeah.
So you feel like you've kind of recreated that feeling of the coffee shop vibe, but really more tailored to you.
Yeah, without any human interaction, which is extremely difficult.
That is, yeah, you don't have a barista downstairs in the morning.
I even greet you in the morning. I mean, there's nothing in the world that's better than that. Like
Mhm.
for me, personally, that's what I enjoyed about my mornings most, is taking my dog to the park, getting a cup of coffee, even though it was like $6. It was
Mhm.
worth $6 to get that greet and a smile. Like, hey, how's your day?
Mm.
Got today? Cool, awesome. Moving on. See you tomorrow with the same great smile and cup of coffee.
Mm.
It was just the consistency of, goodness, good feelings, good vibes, good attitudes. Like it's a wonderful place we live in, this entire world. And like if we can't take advantage of that and create that, like it's at our fingertips. We can create any feeling we'd like through whatever kind of object or design
Mm.
that we can. And just like in digital marketing, how we met, it's A/B testing everything. I've had several
Mhm.
in the same area where yours lives now. I switch them all the time, and it makes me happy to like play house, I guess, if you
Yeah,
will. So,
for sure. That's really cool. Do you feel like having, sort of personalized artwork in your house? Does it, because I know you work from home, right? Um, does it help like in the workday, feel just, I mean, is it a way to recharge for you, or how would you characterize that?
yeah, so I have like a strategy and like a process for myself. So like I
Mm.
sit down and I lock into my computer. I don't let anything in my purview affect kind of like what my major focus is. And I think that's like an
Yeah.
ADD complex that I have about myself. Because if I get up and start walking around, I find myself like down the street. Before I know it, I'm like in the park, like looking at grass. You know what I mean? Like I
Right,
can't
right.
do that. But like at the end of the day, for sure, like I start and end my day like staring at the things that I've gathered to curate a feeling. And then I move into my night, my personal
Mm,
time. What am I going to
mhm,
work on, or like what am I going to do for myself at this point? And like that's a good starting point where I literally don't have to pick up anything or move anything around or go out. I can just literally sit in my space and take in what's around me to get
mhm.
kind of, that mental reset that's needed before I re-enter society. And
Hmm.
don't do that, I notice my attitude's quite a bit different
So
towards even my girlfriend and everybody around me, you know?
so it kind of helps like bring you down back down to earth in a way from the craziness of work.
Yeah, no pun intended, back down to earth for sure. Not that I'm not there already, but yeah, like work is very intense, as you know, and it's like
Uh-huh.
lots of moving parts and chaos. And even though it's all organized, it's still super chaos. You know, there's everybody
Yeah.
your coattails, everybody needs something yesterday, and so on and so forth. It's just the world we live in. So to be able to take a deep breath and reset, I wanted to create that to be the most efficient and quick way I can do that
Hmm.
without interacting with society. And just, if you want to think, I'm not a meditator. I don't meditate. Like that's
Hmm.
not something I can really bear with how fast my mind moves. So like with
Hmm.
the racing and sitting in the museums beforehand with the chaos, I still need to interact and engage with my brain to calm it down. I need to back it down slowly as opposed to like meditate and cutting it off at the jugular.
Hmm.
I don't know how people don't do that more, but even people that meditate, I think there's a process pre-meditation
Yeah.
before meditating. So um, just the meditation part doesn't work. The pre-meditating part works for me. But
So I mean, is art kind of like Mark's meditation in a way, or
you got it. That's
yeah,
100% my process. Like, and that's
yeah.
why I'm like, yo, I can't pick one of your paintings. Like I like a dozen of them to where I literally, my finger and push it on the screen, and like wherever it landed, I was like, that's the one. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, so would you recommend that others work with me?
Yeah. I mean, seeing that you're not traditionally like a traditionally trained artist, right? Which it
Hmm.
sounds weird to say because no one really is, but it's not something that was a major path of yours. It kind of found you in a way,
Hmm.
right? Like it kind of just crawled up your back and said, you need to do this,
Hmm.
itching at you. So like the inputs you get from a non-artist is like very well received because you even
Hmm.
got half a dozen that are like, hey, you might like these ones, and put that together for me, and I'm like, oh damn, he's right. Like cool, I don't have to look through 100 365 like quick and make a decision. Like he gave me the package here, so like the input I got from you was spot on. So I think it's just you communicate well. You're not a traditional artist in the sense of like this hasn't been your lifelong journey, even though
Hmm.
it's moving forward. Like that's a crazy thing to be successful at what you are. So like just talk to Preston, man. He'll get you sorted. Work with him. It's super easy. Normal guy. Like he was working in a role probably just like yours 6 months ago.
Yeah. Who do you think I'm a good fit for, Mark?
Anyone and everyone, the serious art collector, the general public, someone who doesn't know anything and probably will take a really long time to maybe get to the point of appreciating something like that you've created with the emotion in it. But
Hmm.
like most part, really anyone, if they like something, just talk to you about it. They'll
Yeah.
have a story. Like I think for a lot of us, especially in America, we like to stand on our soapboxes, right?
Hmm.
If we have a story we can tell, we're going to tell it, whether we're an introvert or an extrovert. And I have
Hmm.
a big story about Preston's pieces and like what
Hmm.
goes into and stuff. Like even updating coworkers that you may not talk to that we've worked with previously in the past, they're always just like, wow, he's doing that now. That's awesome. Like, yeah, you should, reach out to him, have a chat. Like it's
Yeah.
Preston.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I appreciate that. I mean, why do you think someone listening should take action right now?
take control of your environment. We have full control over our environment. Even if you have a loved one, if you're getting a nice piece to put in a nice frame, you are not going to get any pushback.
Yeah.
Just A/B test it. The first piece you get may not be the best fit. Just find a new place in your house for
Right.
it. Like it's that easy. You don't live in just four walls. I hope not. Most people don't. But like, there's like I say, there's always the bathroom to hide the stuff. Bedrooms are great places to put things that you want to change out and just not see for a while to see if it works in the bathroom. I
Yeah.
I have stuff I created for myself, which is absolutely horrible. I'm not happy with. It lives in my bathroom now. So
The bathroom is Mark's shrine of artwork.
I don't meditate in my bathroom. My bathroom with the two purposes, shower and the other stuff, and I'm out of it. Like I'm not wasting my time in a little room. Basically, I'm freaking closed off to the world. I'm gone. Like, dude, the bathrooms, like, I'm out.
For sure, for sure. That's funny. What do you think's your number one piece of advice for people who are considering, investing in artwork as a way to kind of elevate their life?
um, I know a lot of people have a penance for, shoes, clothes, like more of the materialistic things. Like art is the epitome of a materialistic thing that could
Mm,
also move you emotionally. Clothes
mm,
get washed, they'll fade, they'll get a hole in them, a
mm.
stain. You can't, for lack of a better word, you're not going to fuck art up in a frame unless you throw a hammer at it. So, um, which you may do one day. I may do that with this one day. You never know. Like I may just feel like
Yeah.
throwing it one day, but like honestly, there's never a better time than to start collecting things you can tell stories about that move you emotionally. Like
Mm,
fast fashion and clothes are not what they used to be like in the 50s, man. Like it's just cars depreciating value, like
mm.
something that means something for you that'll stay with you forever. Could be just one thing. Just do it, and
I know. I like what you said there. Yeah, I think you said investing in something that will move you emotionally and give you the ability to tell stories, um, positive ones at that, but ones that connect you to people. I think that's a really cool way to think about it.
tell me your
So,
last salesman's name.
what you say?
Tell me the last guy you bought a car from, his name.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question.
I know who my last piece of artwork from, though. I'm on the phone with him now.
Yes, yes, yes. Where can people find you online, Mark?
I have a funny Instagram that's all cycling at Mark. I don't know if you would tag that in the thing here. It's all spelled funky and stuff, but you
That's
get me up
right.
there, Facebook or LinkedIn. Shoot me a message. I'll talk to anyone. Doesn't matter. I always
Yeah.
reply to everyone too because I'm a weirdo like that. So it may not be efficient and fast. Like I may not get to you right away, but I reply to everyone. Thanks.
Cool, perfect. Well, I super appreciate you, Mark, being on this call with me and just getting to share a bit more about yourself and your journey and into artwork and just some of your personal stuff. So, thanks everyone for listening today as well.
Yeah, super glad to do it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate y'all, especially you, Preston. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.